Mom's voice cut through the clatter of silverware. "Stop dragging your sister down. You're just bitter because Katie succeeded." I didn't blink. I just leaned back, let the silence stretch, and then dropped the line I'd been carrying like a loaded gun. "Then ask her to return the 80 grand I gave you since college." The room froze. Even Dad's fork slipped, clattering against the plate. Katie's eyes darted, searching for an exit that didn't exist. Mom opened her mouth to scold me, but the words tangled in her throat. And me? I was calm, almost surgical. Because this wasn't an outburst. This was the final act. Funny thing is, when Katie and I were younger, I would have given her anything. And I did. Back in college, I was the one working nights, juggling shifts, while she partied on weekends. Mom always said she had potential. So I covered her tuition shortfall, wired her money when her internship didn't pay. Dad called it helping family. I called it investment in loyalty. Naive, isn't it? I thought love bought love. The betrayal wasn't loud. It crept. A strange silence between us, a message left unread. Then a bank notification, her name attached to money I wired for emergencies, only to see Instagram photos of designer bags and champagne tables. Still, I stayed quiet. Even when I overheard Mom praising her, "Katie always lands on her feet, unlike your brother, who's so cautious." Cautious. That's what they called my discipline. That's what they mocked while draining me dry. The breaking point came 2 years ago. Dad was in the hospital, bills stacking up. I wired 10 grand overnight, no questions asked. Katie? She sent flowers. A $100 bouquet with a card signed in pink ink. And Mom? She called me bitter when I asked Katie to help with the bills. That night, I stopped being the family's wallet. I became something else. I didn't rage. I documented. Every transfer, every wire, every receipt tucked neatly into a folder. Dates, amounts, purposes. Katie thought my silence was weakness, but silence is where revenge grows. When she launched her wellness brand, I clapped from the sidelines. Publicly. Privately, I pulled the trademarks she never filed. I let her spend thousands on packaging, website design, influencer deals. And just when her first shipment landed, a cease and desist arrived at her door, signed by me. She begged Mom for help. Mom called me furious. I told her, voice flat, she should have registered her name. Click. That wasn't the only string I cut. Katie loved credit, loved flashing her platinum card. What she didn't know was that years of my help had built her credit score, under my co-signatures. So when I quietly withdrew, canceled the joint safety nets, she crumbled. Cards declined, leases voided. And still, I didn't raise my voice. I let her drown, sip by sip, while smiling across Sunday dinners. Which brings us back to tonight, family dinner. Mom circling me like a vulture. Katie smirking, thinking she'd escaped. "Bitter," Mom hissed. So I gave them the truth, razor sharp. "Then ask her to return the 80 grand I gave you since college." The silence was delicious. Dad's fork clattering, Katie choking on her wine. Mom paling, realizing her golden child was painted in my debt. No one spoke, so I leaned in, slow, measured. I have the receipts. Every transfer, every loan, every bailout. You want to talk about success? Let's calculate how much of it was mine. Katie's lips trembled. She whispered, "You wouldn't." I smiled. Already did. I'd filed the claims last month. Legally, every transfer was documented as a loan, every cent accruing interest. Katie's assets? Frozen pending judgment. Her accounts? Tied. All it took was patience and silence. Two things my family never understood. Mom finally broke, her voice cracking. "Why would you do this? She's your sister." I looked at her, really looked. At the woman who praised Katie's recklessness while calling my sacrifices cautious. At the mother who cashed my checks, smiled, then whispered that I'd never measure up. Because, I said, steady, loyalty isn't free, and I finally learned the cost. Katie started crying. Dad rubbed his forehead, defeated. Mom sat frozen, pride shattered. Me, I felt lighter. I wasn't the bitter one. I was the careful one, the one who waited, the one who planned. They mistook silence for weakness, but silence is a blade, and tonight I cut them clean. So when I pushed my chair back, leaving them in their ruin, I didn't feel guilt, only clarity. They wanted a villain. Fine, I'll wear the mask, but they'll never forget. It was built with their money.